In general, most people don't change too substantially after high school once we've reached adolescence. By our late teens, our core personalities are very developed. So even though we continue to go through inevitable changes, the geek to freak or similar transformations that some of us experience, where we become nearly unrecognizable in every way, is really not something that happens often or something we should expect from every person. It's pretty rare. But the thing is, I've noticed that there's a tendency in youth to have an over-attention to detail, coming from usually the perfectionism that persists in our late teens and early 20s. So what tends to happen is that many of us as young adults look at ourselves very observantly and notice every detail, every upgrade, every little change, and we perceive a lot of change from that. And I mean to the point where we start seeing ourselves as a totally different person. And why? See, because the problem is that this really just arouses a lot of unnecessary and immature pride. And I know this from experience because I did a lot of weird, creepy, showy things when I was very young, from 18 all the way up to 24, just to try to prove to people that I was changing and upgrading myself and making myself more sophisticated, like everyone else. But looking back at it now that I'm in my 30s, I can clearly see that in the adult world, you really don't need to do stuff like that. It was all so proud and petty and foolish and even bothersome to other people to try to prove all of these unnecessary things to others back then. So one reason why it's unnecessary to prove yourself to others is because you may be trying to prove something that most people already have the potential to do. Just because you're a human. We have a lot of potential. So if most people can do that thing, then why wouldn't you be able to? So where's the need to prove it? There's no need to prove it to people, right? So when you're young at this age range, we go through some changes and then some of us think that we're so different now. But to an adult's perspective, we're really not that different in terms of our core personality. It's really just our attention to detail in our youth that makes us see more contrast like this. Because anytime you have an attention to detail, there must be a more contrasting perspective. That's what happens when you're detail-oriented. And this is where perfectionism comes from. So when you're young, we'll, for instance, become proud of a new skill or interest we've picked up, only to be told by an old friend that we haven't changed. And then we get a little flustered inside and feel like their perception doesn't do justice. And I had a moment like this one time when I was 18. And of course, now that I'm looking back, I think he was right to say that. I think I didn't change that much. So oftentimes the changes we undergo are too subtle for others to notice immediately. And what about you know who? That particular ex-partner that you've been feeling the urge to prove wrong or prove yourself to. What is there to prove or show off? Your newly acquired taste in modern art, your interest in politics or psychology, your expanded vocabulary, your monthly Excel spreadsheet budget that you finally figured out how to use, your new girlfriend or boyfriend. And oftentimes we find ourselves with a new partner and we think, man, I wish you know who could look at this impressive romance we got going on. When in reality, an adult would look at this situation and just say, well, this new partner, are they really that impressive considering what you got going on for yourself? Is this not something that everyone does or can achieve? So, and at the end of the day, who is this really about? Is it about them or is it about you? Because I think if you don't sincerely care about the people around you, the friends you're trying to show off to, or the ex-partners you're trying to prove to or show off to, and if you don't have enough in common to be close friends with these people, then and all you want to do is impress somebody or receive some kind of approval, then I would say it's really not worth it and you should just move on. Because unless you've undergone a very major transformation in every way, and it's something that nobody does very rarely, yeah, maybe it's interesting. Maybe it'd be fun to kind of show this to people, to flaunt it, to prove it. But other than that, you're probably not going to impress anybody or that person. And there's also that likelihood of being just bothersome and obsessive if you attempt to try this. If you go online and message someone, say, hey, look at this, or you do creepy things to get people's attention. And think about other people's taste. Because, some people don't even care about things like status or materialism. That person you're trying, if it's like an ex-partner, they may not appreciate or have interest in or even get jealous over the same things that you do, believe it or not. Not everyone gets jealous over status or popularity, believe it or not. Some people actually get jealous over things like good marks or intelligence or taste. You might consider expensive cars, designer clothing, or social status to be impressive things to become jealous over, but they may instead be more interested and envious over things like intellectualism or just having a very sophisticated taste, whether it's in poetry or art or music or philosophy, and so on. If they were never that compatible with you to begin with, then their taste is probably very different. So they're even double not worth trying to impress. Because they're not compatible as a friend. We don't like the same things. And if you did that, you succeeded in impressing the person and you turned them into a friend, they're still not compatible with you, then it wasn't even worth it all along.